Today, we're going to walk through a practical guide specifically designed for loan officers at GivingTree. So today, my goal is to help you guys understand exactly how each of our origination channels works, who controls the timeline, and what your compensation structures will look like when you submit a loan. And before we dive into the specific channel, I want to emphasize about the FHA loans, giving you a heads up that GivingTree Lending is not a FHA endorsed lender. This means that for every single FHA loan, regardless of which channel you are considering, GivingTree Lend must act as a broker, not as a lender. So there are absolutely no exceptions to this rule. So please keep this top of your mind. And if your borrower needs any FH financing, your channel decision is already made for you, which is broker only. Okay, so let's look at a high level overview of our 4 channels. So we have total 4 channels: non-delegated correspondent, mini correspondent, retail lenders, and wholesale broker. So over the next few slides, we'll break down the differences in timeline control, whose warehouse line is used for funding, and whose name goes on the closing documents for each of these options. Okay, so our first channel is the non-delegated correspondent lender. In this setup, the loan is closed under our name, GivingTree Lending, and GTL acts as the lender. You have full timeline control. So GivingTree Lending handles the funding, trade, appraisals, and more, utilizing our own warehouse line. So we don't have to depend on the investor. So investor will only take care of underwriting side. Except underwriting, we take care of everything. So from a compensation standpoint, you're eligible for both rebate and origination charges, and the rebate is not shown to the borrower. So the non-delegated correspondent lenders that we're working with are Rocket, UWM, Mega Capital, Arcom, Flagstar, and more. So most of the time, we work with non-delegated correspondent lender because we can control everything on our end. Okay. Next is the mini correspondent lender channel. This shares many similarities with the non-delegated correspondent channel. The loan still closes under GTL, and you remain eligible for both rebate and origination charges without the rebate showing to the borrower. Generally, the key difference is that GTL does not control the funding because the investor's warehouse line is used for Mini Core. However, there are important lender-specific timeline and rules to remember for our key partners in this channel. So we have total 3 mini correspondent investors, which are NMSI, Emmet, and Plaza Home. And let's talk about the funding part first. So for Emmet and NMSI, they have their own funding warehouses, which means that we have to follow their specific timeline on funding, and we have no control over the funding. Currently, NMSI has 48 hours for funding review. So if you want to close on time, make sure that you get the borrower sign the documents ASAP so we can unload the signed documents. So their funding turn time can start. And for Plaza, although we are mini correspondent with them, we can actually use our own warehouse to fund the loan. So once the borrower signs the loan back, we have our own control to fund the loan with the Plaza Home. So those are the 2 main difference. And in disclosure-wise, for Emmet and Plaza Home, their own disclosure teams will send out the disclosures. They may provide the early draft upon the request, but their team's going to generate their own, and then they're going to send it to the borrower. So we do not have any control over the disclosure timeline, even for Lockdeli, CD, and loan docs. For NMSI, we can send out our own disclosures directly to the borrower, but it should be through their portal. So our submission desk usually inputs the fees in NMSI portal and may share the draft LE before they send out to the borrower. But for Lockdeli, CD, and loan docs, we always have to depend on NMSI team to send out. Our third option is retail lender channel. The loan is closed under investor's name, not GivingTree Lending, and your name will not appear on any collateral package. Because this channel uses the lender's LO's license, not yours, who's registered to the lender. So this channel uses investors' AMC, trade, and funding line. And as I just said, it relies on the license of the loan officer who's registered with a specific investor. So this gives a huge advantage to you guys because it allows you to originate in the states where giving to lending is not licensed. So when you are registering the loan to the retail channel, you are eligible for both rebate and origination charges, although we are not licensed in that subject state. But keep in mind that investor will deduct 500 for use of their license. But besides that, you can still get both rebate and origination. And the retail lenders that we're using are Capital Land and TechBase. And the fourth channel is wholesale broker lenders. Similar to retail, the loan closes under their name, the lender's name, and uses their AMC, TREAT, and funding line. However, you are using your own LO license as a broker partner, meaning you can only originate in the states where giving to lending is licensed. Except DSCRs. For DSCR loans, some states allow you to originate the loans where you're not licensed. But besides that, you can only originate the states where giving to lending is licensed. And compensation works differently here. So you only earn origination charges, which can be borrower or lender paid. Any rebates that you see on the pricing engine are automatically passed to the borrower as a lender credit and cannot be retained by you. So when you are running pricing in Loan Sifter or lender's portal, please keep in mind that if that lender is a broker lender or non-delegated correspondent lender, because depending on which channel you're submitting, you might not get any rebate on the back end. And lenders we're using for broker lenders are BFF, LoanStream, PRMG, ACC, and some more. So this slide provides a quick comparison metrics. It summarizes everything we've just discussed, allowing you to easily compare who the loan closes under, who controls the timeline and funding, and what compensation is available across all four channels. All right, so let's review what you can earn by channel. For both non-del and mini correspondent, you receive full compensation, both rebate and origination with no deductions. For the retail channel, you earn both rebate and origination, but the investor retains 500 for the use of their license. And finally, the wholesale broker, it is origination only, as rebates are automatically credited to the borrower. Yep, I think that's it. Do you guys have any other questions regarding this? Nope. Then I think that's it, Ragnar.
You guys have no questions? Yeah, I want to stress how important this is. You don't know how many times I, as a loan officer, I've been with Giving Tree about 3 years, and I've made some mistakes, and some of them has been costly. I made a mistake recently on a broker file, not realizing that if I went lender paid, you cannot charge a processing fee. Okay, so if you do have any questions or you're not completely confident in the 4 types of originations that Giving Tree offers, please get with Gia or myself. Really get with Gia or Brenda, okay? Because even me, I'm still learning. And until you really understand how this works, I would honestly say, now that I know all this, it will and can affect how you sell the loan. Okay, your conversations, if it matters to you. Okay, and it probably will, because when the customer gets the LE or the CD, they will have questions. Hey, what is this fee? Why didn't you explain this? What is that? Right? So even in mine, I went borrow or lender paid. Okay, and I didn't know this, but the lender paid portion still reflects on the CD. So the borrower called me and said, hey, I know I'm not paying this because the math doesn't add it up. But what is this $11,000 charge? To my surprise, I didn't know that was being disclosed. Okay, so again, if you do not know and you don't feel comfortable on the 4 types of origination, please get with the team and ask. Okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, I try to always stick with non-del.
Yeah.
I've used NMSI a few times, and when it comes to funding, as well as like the 48-hour, it's very important for everybody to know that, because when it comes to that point, people are kind of like just pressuring you, like, hey, when are we going to get funding? When is funding happening? When is funding?
Correct.
Oh, there's zero table funding. So it's always important to know, like, having to be able to control that is really good.
Yeah.
Just like being aware of other lenders, that there is a window for them to approve it.
Yes. You guys understand that, right? That's such a great point, Alex. Let's just say COE is today, everything's signed, and you're expecting funding today. Well, if you're under Mini Core, we don't have control over that. Okay. If you were on the non-del side, yeah, we could potentially fund it today with the COE being today. So it's very, very important. Thank you. All right. Well, we're going to cut it short today. So again, next week, if you have files that were rejected, denied, you just weren't able to find a scenario for, please bring it and be ready to discuss it. Okay. All right. You guys have a great week.